Hello everyone. So in this video I am going to be talking about the nuances of the deep web or the dark net, and basically what are the difference between the deep web and the clear web. So really basically the deep web or some of the web that I think most of the difference is the fact that the addresses of the deep web in the URL are different from the deep web from the which are the onion format basically. So the deep web at the end, like usually when we website in our browsing state, so at the end most of the website end with .com, .net or .org, but in deep web website it will end with .onion. Now I can basically show you that going to be to the hidden wiki. So just search for that on the Tor browser, and you can also do that too. So it's just a simple fact in the URL at the end, just it will be .onion, like a .onion extension. So I'm going to show you an example right now. So an example of a clear web website that ends in a like .com, .net or .org that are basically simple. So as example, how URLs appear on the clear web, as I previously told, .com, .net, .org, etc., etc. Now the deep web and all the dark net, for that matter, the URL will appear in slightly differently. So let me just try and open a deep web website, just a random deep web website like this. It will take a couple of seconds to open up. As you can see at the end, as you can see .onion. So in this hidden wiki, there will be many websites that you cannot open or you cannot go, but a couple of the websites you can go and check this website out. So there are many categories in this hidden wiki website, like as you can see, Bitcoin anonymity, drug stores, more commercial rings, etc., and everything else, and lots of website. Most of them are not accessible, but you can find a couple of them that are accessible, and you can go and visit that. So let's tell you about the searching in the dark net. So especially in the search engine like Google is being used, and many other search engine may be used. So I don't know what search engine you may be using, but Google will not work in this index. And what's really important from this darknet is that it's only going to index a lot of stuff from the clear web. So basically in the next video I will actually show you some of the really good dark web or darknet search engines. So that will basically index all the website on the darknet and give you some of the good results. Now back to what I was explaining about the extension of the URL. So here an example of the website of a URL that end with .onion. So this is the dark web or deep web website. So you basically have the http:// and then the name of a website in a code format, as you can see here. So you will not find any website in the name right here, but an idea of it is a combination of a letter that will give and that will make sense to the title of this website in a code format. So you will not find a website that will have a name right here in a dark web, and idea of a basically is a combination of letter. And now you can see it's a .coin at the end of the extension. So if I open another website like coffee, it will take some time to load. As you can see, it has now coffee get another website. So more commercial link like as you can see in here, and website but the website name is ACC market, but as you can see it website description is in letters, and at the end it's a dot onion. So that's an example of how a dark web website usually looks like, and what is the website address and the extension. So you're gonna also find a couple of websites like search engines that will give you the results of like ebooks, or you can print ebooks or buy ebooks, or you can collect and buy a couple of other books that they are selling and you want to buy. So there are a couple of good and bad both websites both in here. So overall this is a very good search engine, but it's not the best. I'll getting a good couple of websites in the upcoming videos. So basically that's it for this video. This is the video that I was just explaining the answers about the deep web and what's the difference from what you would expect a normal clear web to a deep web, and the functionality of how this works and all. So that's all for it. So in this section we are basically going to be looking at the Tor browser and some of its security feature and just going over the interface. So you could have installed this on Windows, or you could be installed this on any other virtual machine, or even Ubuntu or Linux, any other choices that you want. So I'm now using this on my Windows computer. So as you can see, I have connected to my Tor network, so it's all connected. So let's get started. So the Tor browser has a lot of security feature that probably a lot of people overlook, but let's actually get into them. So if you maximize the Tor browser in virtual machine, it's going to tell you that Tor browser can allow a website to determine your monitor size, which can be used to track you. So we recommend that you leave your Tor browser window in the original default size. So there's actually a precaution that actually makes sense, because obviously if you visit a website, it has to do basically from a website from the device that you are using, because the resolution of the device that you are using, which you see most commonly nowadays, can be detected on those certain website. So if you visit a website on your mobile device, it will basically convert the resolution to the mobile devices. So one of the first precaution is to take the make sure that you don't maximize your browser resolution on your virtual machine, and it makes a lot of easier for them to understand what device you are using, and from there they can basically begin targeting you, and all of that really is got to do with security and anonymity. So now most of the people already noticed that this really isn't very common normal. As you can see, if you go to this little icon in here, As you can see, this is the site information for this duckduckgo.com. So you can get a new identity by clicking this. Okay, let's test this. As you can see, I got the new identity from here, and it will refresh as this identity. So the Tor is enabled. So if you as the Tor is enabled, is gonna create a new identity. If you click this Tor circuit from this side, and it's going to see the security setting of the Tor network setting. So let's just go into the google.com for better understanding. It will take some time because it's on this. As you can see, it's sending a lot of packets from code, not from each of these countries. As you can see, it's in Germany, because as you can see, the languages are all in German, because this connection is from German. Now we basically hit a new identity. This will create like another, but it's still from German. As you can see. Okay, let's create all German. Okay. So as you can see, it's connected to the Tor network, and what you see is basically replies. So according to that, it got the Tor network. So that the IP is using the IP from Germany and from Switzerland. Then the node is gone from Austria, and then finally it's going to this google.com. So in reality, I don't live in any of these countries, but so I can tell you that it's working. So if you click on the onion right now in here, so it's going to say this browser is security level is standard, because all of the browser and website feature are enabled. So but if I click this in here, it will see the Tor circuit in here, as we previously described how Tor connection work. So it's going to go to the first node, then the first node is basically selected to the second node, and then is going to select to the third node, and then finally going to this internet like google.com. So it's basically we are showing you the chain of node connections that you are browsing, and the browser is taking to finally access the internet, which is why you will find sometimes the connection is slightly slower in this Tor browser, because it's coming from various nodes. That's why it's taking some time to load any web pages, and that's why it's slightly slower. Again, you can create a new identity by just clicking this, and it is going to give you the new IP address. So we basically know this is using the German IP address, and let's close this window and connect to the new door circuit. So create a new identity, as I already shown how to create a new identity. So now let's go a new website, like as we all know this website and we visit every day. So let's go to youtube.com. and see let's see what it gives you. So as you can see, it giving you the same top circuit as how this node actually works. So in theory, I don't know what IP addresses it's giving me now, but let's see what is giving us. So basically it is using the Germany IP address, and possibly it is going to continue using it for right now. Anyway, what I was getting to was basically how it's basically structured, the web page, and how you can customize the activity of this page. So as I say, you can go into the security setting. So security setting, and right now the security setting is set to standard, which is low. So that means that is basically going to work like any browser, and is not going to restrict anything because it's on standard and means it's in low. So let me just minimize this. Now if I hit medium means this one, safer. As you can see, it has a lot of description like disable website feature that are often dangerous, causing some site to lose functionality. JavaScript is disable on non-HTTP sites. Some fonts and some math symbol are disabled. Audio and video, HTML, media, and WebGL are click to pay. So if I just reload this YouTube page, that means it's still going to enable the HTML5 video and audio media, but it became unplayable. Like if I click this video, as you can see, it cannot open this video. But if I change this to standard and reload this page, as you will see, it will open this video. As you can see, it's working. So basically all sites where JavaScript is enabled, performance optimization that are disabled. So basically when it's medium, it's going to restrict a bit of script running on the website. For example, I already shown you one of these. It's going to show you the thumbnail, but it's not going to play the video. Let me try that again. As you can see, permission for YouTube video autoplay is blocked by blocking audio. Also disable, as you can see, disable website feature that are often dangerous, causing some site to lose functionality. As you can see, it also gives you the description of how this security works. So in terms of interface, there is nothing really changed, but everything is still smooth. But the thing is, it's not going to play the video because it's on a medium setting. So if I change this to the highest, so which means only allows website features required for static website and basic services. So this changes effect like JavaScript will be disabled by default on all website, and some fonts, icon, or math symbol, or even image will be disabled, and audio video will also be disabled. Okay, let's just reload this. As you can see, let's just reload this. Okay, as you can see, nothing is even clickable in this highest or safer. As you can see, it's here. Also show you all those torch circuit, and also it will give you the security level on your allow website that requires static, because the YouTube doesn't use the static. That's why you cannot even do anything on this hard level. So let me explain what the high security level actually means. So this security level, following changes, which is the apply most over the any preview on the content, like any clickable website in this here, you can just click. So where JavaScript is enabled, it actually cannot do anything. So in reality there is a lot of script that are disabled. So because in your script area they're gonna ask if there is an area that block the script, and as you can see it's temporarily blocked all this font or even thumbnail, so it disabled all other scripted as well. So now you can temporarily allow the script on this page if you know your website that you can trust. However, it's going to be advise you that allowing the script globally or universally across the Tor browser is very dangerous, and that's because some of the website may use JavaScript. As you know, JavaScript uses your computer to perform a task on the website like calculation, and those can be very dangerous, especially when harvesting information from your browser and your computer. So basically it's the security feature that you have your Tor network setting. So you can even Tor browser close down window tabs, and you can all below. So you can even reset your identity by using this button. If you click yes, it will reset all your identity. So even with this button you can just reset the Tor circuit and the website details, is it secured or verifiable or not. So the security feature that if you have in your Tor network are very simple and basically first setting that you get. So when installing the Tor browser, you can eventually check that whether you want your network or internet source or service provider to block connection to the Tor network in some countries, whether that may be restricted or whether you may have a proxies or you are going through a firewall. So that's really up to you. So coming to this browser, let me go back to YouTube, and okay, let's just go back to YouTube again. So if you focus on the top Tor circuits, it says that you have a visual representation according to the chain of loads that being used. So if you are going to secure settings, and we're going to, if you want to secure setting like chain setting, that's the security level, and you can set like medium, low, or safest. So let's go the Tor browser to use DuckDuckGo, because Tor browser uses DuckDuckGo. As you can see, DuckDuckGo as is search engine. So the Tor browser automatically uses the DuckDuckGo, which is then anonymous search engine. So basically, as you can see that the default search engine is DuckDuckGo. It let me just search the hidden wiki. Let's just go and open the hiddenwiki.org. It contains a collection of few or I would say most variable or safe .onion websites. So generally speaking, the first thing you realize that the deep web or the darknet actually browse through the darknet, which is relatively slow because it's going to use as a certain amount of proxies. So the hidden wiki, as I said, is going to be using a DuckDuckGo search engine, and a DuckDuckGo search engine is the, I think, best search engine because it is anonymous and that does not take any of your search queries. So as I open the hiddenwiki.org website, so let's try and actually visit the website or darknet website. So basically this is just a collection of .onion website, which is the URL format for the deep web, and most of you that don't know, it does not end with, this website does not end with .com, .net or .org. It ends with, as you can see, .onion. So let's just open an website. Let's see if this website is working or not. Okay, this website is working, but most of the websites that we are seeing here will not work. So it's a good starting point for you to understand how this works. So basically I'm trying, as I tried to go, you can even try any other website, but I will prefer you to do the website that you can good use for your goods, not for bad intention. So for example, this website, as you can see, the UK passports, name of your choice. These are not I think good website, but also as you can see they are selling the UK passport made for your with your information. So this is not good. So let me just try a good website that can be. Let's talk about Bitcoin. As you all know now, in Bitcoin is pretty much familiar with all of us what Bitcoin is. So there are some websites that will be illegal, so illegal content, so which again I mentioned in my disclaimer that I am not going to be responsible for you if you get involved in this. But anyway, let me just try this, and as you can see, most of these websites are not legal or use cases for mine to showcase how this works. So QoS, let's try this. It also contains a few torrent websites. If you check this out, there is a couple of torrent websites in here. But another tip I would give is I would not recommend you to basically go to this torrent website on the deep web, because that's basically give you your location, and I will get to it advanced on the image setting and configuring. So basically giving you the most full anonymity where you are, and it cannot be traced back to you. Yes, and that will be discussed in the future videos. So as you can see, this website is not loading, so you will face this similar problem on most of these pages. So let's just try this one, so see if this works or not. So see PayPal, list of PayPal, eBay accounts. So as you can see, 80% it will give you the PayPal account by using this job. More than 20% don't work. So as you can see, it's not usable. That even you can use dark mining. So as I told you, there is a many website that you can try in here. I'm not gonna go details about this website and how this works, so it's not my concern how these websites do. So I'm just giving you the demonstration on how this dark web website usually works. So you can go and buy some illegal stuff, but I don't encourage you to do that because at the end of the day you can use this and you can use this as valuable information, and also you can do whatever you want with this. So that's basically it for this video.
Hello everyone, let's talk about whose domain. So what is whose information and why is it valuable? Whose is a widely used internet record listening that identifies who owns a domain and how to get in contact with them. The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers ICANN regulates domain name registration and ownership, whose records have proven to be extremely useful and have developed into an essential resource for maintaining the integrity of the domain name registration and website ownership process. So what is in a whose record? A whose record contains all of the contact information associated with the person, group, or company that registers a particular domain name. Typically, each whose record will contain information such as the name and contact information of registrant who owns the domain, the name and contact information of the register, the registration dates, the name servers, the most recent update, and the expiration date, whose records may also provide the administrative and technical contact information, which is often but not always the resident. So, this is some information about this website. I search and what is Google, and here is all the information about Google by giving the domain name in whose domain tools.com, IP address, IP location, ASN, IP history, register history, website title, server type, all the information. IP history 368 changes on 368 unique IP addresses over 18 years, and register history 3 registers with 1 drop, and whose record domain name registered billing. Now another domain name, social site facebook.com. As same as previous website Google, here is the dates of Facebook, 9151 days old, name servers, take contact, IP address, IP location, ASN, IP story, website title, terms, images, links. Okay, now let's talk about Wayback Machine. The Wayback Machine is a digital archive of the World Wide Web founded by the Internet Archive, a non-profit based in San Francisco, California, created in 1996 and launched to the public in 2001. It allows the user to go back in time and see how websites looked in the past. So here I browse Amazon.com. Many things are shown in the display. December 1298 to November 20, 2012. The Internet Archive turns 20 years old, having archived nearly 2 decades and 23 petabytes of the evolution of the World Wide Web. Yet, surprisingly little is known about what exactly is in the archive's mounted Wayback Machine, beyond saying it has archived more than 445 billion web pages. The archive has never published an inventory of the sites it archives or the algorithms it uses to determine what to capture and when. Given the archive's recent announcements of new efforts to make its web archive accessible to scholarly research, it is critically important to understand what precisely makes up this 445 billion page archive and how that composition might affect the kinds of research scholars can perform with it. Regular users of the Wayback Machine are familiar with the MY Riyadh audits of its holdings. For example, despite CNN.com launching in September 1995, the archive's first snapshot, its homepage, does not appear until June 2000. In contrast, BBC's website has been archived since December 1996, but the volume of snapshots ebbed and flowed in fits and starts through 2012. To truly understand the archive, it is clear we must move beyond casual anecdotes to a systematic assessment of the collection's holdings. Since the archive does not publish a master inventory of the domains preserved in the Wayback Machine, the Alexa ranking of the top 1 million most popular websites in the world was used, which is compiled from browsing history. Browsing activity is more than 70 countries. The complete history of all snapshots ever recorded by the archive for the homepage of each website was requested visiting the Wayback CDX server API through November 5, 2015. While this only reflects snapshots of home pages rather than sites as a whole, it nonetheless captures a key metric of how often the archive is crawling each site. The enormous technical responses required to crawl and archive the open web can be seen in this data in all the home pages of the top 1 million Alexa sites have been snapshotted by the Internet Archive just over 240 million. So this is what in 8 the WebEx archive. So that's it guys, hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching. Hello there, let's talk about some advanced features of DNS. So at first we have to know DNS basics. DNS converts human readable domain names into IP addresses. This is because domain names are much easier to remember than IP addresses. This process may take place through a local cache or through a zone file that is present on the server. A zone file is a file on the server that contains entries for different resource records. These records can provide us a bunch of information about the domain. We will look more into resource records and the zone file in the next section. So let's understand how DNS resolution works. Let's say the user opens up the browser and types in info.sense.com. It is now the responsibility of DNS resolver in the user's operating system to fetch the IP addresses. It first checks its local cache to see if it can find a record for the queried domain name. A cache usually contains a mapping of IP addresses to host names which are saved during recent lookups so that the resolver does not have to fetch the IP address again and again. If it can't find the IP address in its cache, it queries the DNS server to see if it has a record for it. A DNS server is usually given to you by the ISP. You can manually set up a DNS server for yourself. If it can't find the IP address, then it goes through a process or recursive DNS query in which it queries different name servers to get the IP address of the domain. As soon as it finds the IP address, it returns the IP address back to the user and also caches it for its future use. So DNS lookup and reverse DNS lookup. So what is DNS lookup and what it how could it work? Let's platform a DNS lookup ourselves for a website, and we'll do this by traversing the entire DNS history from the root servers to the top level domain. Open the terminal in Backtrack. You can use your own favorite website and type in dig, just dig. You will get something like the answer section, question section, some information by giving command dig. Performing reverse DNS lookup converts an IP address into its host name. For this, we need to write the IP address in reverse order and then append in addr.arpa to it. Next, we need to make a query for a PTR record using dig. Let's make a DNA PTR query for a IP address, and the command would be dig IP address in -addr.arp capital PTR. One important advanced feature of DNS or DNS and this is DNS brute forcing. DNS zone transfers may not work all the time. In fact, it will not work most of the time. Most of the DNS servers are properly configured and do not allow zone transfers to every client. Well, what do we do then? Simply answer the same thing we do when nothing works: brute force it. Basically, we have a word list containing a huge list of hosts. We first check for wildcard entries by checking if a random subdomain 132q dssac at .example.com resolves to the same IP address as explain.com. If this is the case, we know wildcard entries are set. We then query the domain by using each of the word in our word list. For example, if one of the entries in the word list file is ads, then we will make a query for ads.example.com, and if it resolves to a different IP address, then we are sure that this subdomain actually exists. Hence, we now have information about the name of subdomain and its IP address. If wildcard entries are not set, we do the same thing and see if we get a response from any subdomain we query. If we get a response back, we could be sure that the subdomain actually exists. In the end, what we get is a bunch of information about the subdomain, about the domain. So now let's talk about why is DNS zone transfer needed. DNS is a critical service. If a DNS server for a zone is not working and cached information has expired, the domain is inaccessible to all services. Therefore, each zone should have at least 2 DNS servers. For more critical zones, there may be even more. However, a zone may be large and may require frequent changes. If you manually edit zone data on each server separately, it takes a lot of time and there is a lot of potential for a mistake, and this is why DNS zone transfer is needed. You can use different mechanisms for DNS zone transfer, but the simplest one is AXFR. Technically speaking, AXFR refers to the protocol used during a zone transfer. It is a client initialized request. Transfers can be performed using a variety of DNS tools, including the NS lookup utility discussed earlier. To perform a joint transfer with NS lookup, follow these steps like set, find the target domain's primary name server. This can be accomplished by typing setq equal hinfo and then querying the domain name. After the domain's primary name server has been determined, set ns lookup to use it, and this is done by typing server target underscore server, where target underscore server is the target domain server. To perform a joint transfer, type set q equal any and then lsd target domain. This will output the records that were received by the joint transfer. With all of the DNS information, it is possible to determine a lot about the network that uses that domain. In addition to discovering internal addressing schemes, it is possible to determine what specific hosts are used for analyzing zone transfer. One more thing is full transfer. When you bring a new DNS server online and configure it, will perform a full transfer of all the zone information in order to replicate all the existing resource records for that zone. Older implementations of the DNS service also used full transfers whenever updates to a DNS database needed to be propagated. Full zone transfers can be very time consuming and resource intensive, especially in situations where there isn't sufficient bandwidth between primary and secondary DNS servers. For this reason, incremental DNS transfer were developed. So, this is it, guys. Hope you guys liked it. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone. So in this lecture, we'll be talking about a couple of the tools like Finger, Show Mount, RPC Info, and Enum for Linux. So let's first talk about Finger command. So Finger command is a user information lookup command which gives details of all the user that's logged in. So this tool is generally used by system administrators. It provides details like login name, username, idle name, login time, and in some cases their email addresses even. This tool is similar to the Pinky tool, but the Pinky tool is just the lightweight version of this tool. How can I install this? Simply every tool that I will talk about in this lecture, you can simply install all of these by simply typing apt get install and name the tool, and it will automatically install. I am using Kali Linux machine, or any Linux distributor you can install this the same way. So I have already installed all the or4 tools that we'll talk about. So let's first talk about how this Finger command actually work. So let's first type Finger and our Kali Linux. So this is the machine and this machine name is Kali. As you can see, it displays the login name, name directory, shell, login time, and also plan of the user. So to get the ideal status, we need to type finger minus s Kali, and as you can see, it displays the ideal status along with the detail of the user. To avoid printing PGP key and plan and protect details, you can simply type finger minus p Kali. As you can see, it displays the login name, directory, shell, login time, email, and the PGP key of the projected user. So to create a plan for a user, you can simply type echo plan detail by plan, but we'll not talk about that. So you can also type finger h to see all of the finger help invalid option finger. So I don't think this has a finger help menu. So that's how basically this finger tool works. So let's talk about the RPC info next. So let's clear our screen. So use RPC info is one of the utility that to check whether your mount target is connected to the network of all required ports. So the RPC info utility is a program that retrieves a list of all remote procedure or all RPC services that currently running, their names and also their description, and also it gives you the ports that they are using. So you can use RPC info utility to verify that a mount target is connected to the network of all required port. Simply installing process, simply apt get install, type RPC info and it will automatically install if your machine doesn't have RPC info pre-installed. So let's type RPC info minus h. As you can see, these are all the options that you can do in here, like you can use minus m minus s to host, minus p to host, t to net id host, minus l to host, so all of those. So let's try minus p. So RPC info minus p. So this is the IP address of our Kali Linux machine. So as you can see, these are the services and the ports that are on running in this in here. So we have most of those are TCP and UDP ports running on port. So this is the port list. So these are running on this port, this running on this port, and these are the services all are running in here. So if you mount IP address with this IP address, this output will look like this, and this will give you a page of port and services that are running. So for each program that are listed, you can use a command which is rpc info minus u target 192.168.1.102 and the program number. You can use simply the program number in here. So let's use the first one, 1 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So as you can see, program version 2 is ready and waiting. It gives you a report whether the response or that is in right now. So if RPC call is successful, then this output will be similarly like this. You can use other numbers like last use 24. As you can see, ready and waiting. Let's use another one like 3. As you can see, this program is not registered because I typed it wrong. As you can see, program version 2 ready and waiting, ready and waiting. So you can get all of those reports in here using RPC info. So let's clear the screen and talk about show mount. So show mount command shows information about an NFS server. So this information is maintained by the mount server on the host. So the default value of the host is the value that returned by the host name. So with no option, and it shows the client that have mounted directories from the host. So show mount is usually found on user and sbin folder. So let's talk about show mount and -h. As you can see, you can use all of those commands using in here. So let's use a couple of example like show mount -a. So what does -all? So let's use our IP address in here. So let's use -d. -d means directories. As you can see, these are the directories. -d and 192.168.1.102. As you can see, these are the directories on in here. If we use another IP address, so it is taking some time, but eventually it will show up the directories of the remote client. But as this is our main machine, that's why it's not showing any remote client. Okay, let's run again. So okay, I did wrong IP address. So that's how we use or list the directories mounted by the. So if we use our 192.168.1.168.1 dot, what is our meta exploitable IP address? This is 102. So let's use 102. As you can see, directories on 102 are in here. Let's use -e. So these are the export list for /star. Then you can remove the headers from the command output with like using show minus. So let's use show mount -v. So 1.33. So this is the show mount command package that being used. So that's the command you can use using show mount. So let's now talk about another big tool, which is enum for Linux. So enum for Linux is a tool that used to enumerate the assembly share on both Windows and Linux system. So it is basically a wrapper around the tool, which is the Samba package, and makes it easy for extract information from the target pertaining to assembly. So just type enum for Linux. As you can see, these are the tools you can use. So you can use -u to get user list, they can -m to machine list, share list, password and policy information. Then additionally you can use -a to do simple enumeration, and all of those commands you can use. So as you can see, it is around the tool. Similar functionality like enum.exe. So let's use enum for Linux -u. What does minus u do? Where is minus u? Okay, get user list. So let's see the user list of our Kali Linux machine. So as you can see, this is the user list. It will be shown in here. So the most basic uses of enum for list takes an option to the IP address of the target. So this is the IP address of the target, and you can use minus u to flag view of the user target. So as you can see, server doesn't allow Apache. Cannot find anything. Okay, let's try another IP address, which is 3. 3 is, I think, our Kali Linux machine IP address. Okay, so what this thing will do is it will give us some information about the work group, whether the server allow the null session like blank username and password. So let's use another one, which is minus s. So minus s will give us, so this flag will give us information about the SMB share on this machine. So that's how we can use an enumeration enum for Linux using these comments.
So, hello there. No, we are not trying to hack Google. So, in this video concept, we advanced search. There's some option, Google Advanced Search. How can you use this feature? Now, come to setting. Here is Advanced Search option. You can search here. Just have a look. Advanced Search option. This exact word phrase, any of these words, narrow result, languages, regional last update, site domain, file type, say search, terms and appearing, all the options you find, right? Word, web. So you can find any result, world web, you can find each and every result. So basic operators. So single word versus combining words using the colon, boolean operators, special characters, Batman, Dark Knight. It's just example. Dark Knight, semicolon, Batman, Batman and Dark Knight. Under the surface, the Dark Knight and special character carry a hyphen. For anyone that's been doing SEO for a while, Google Advanced Search Operators, special commands that make regular searches. Google search operators are like secret cheat codes that help you to get more relevant search results. You still type your search into the Google search bar, but with search operators, you add a bit of text that turns into shorthand for special instructions about the search. This, for example, when gauging the amount of content dedicated to a specific topic, you can filter out 90% of less focused content. Here's an advanced search operator that tells Google that you are looking for content on SEO. What is SEO? Search engine optimization. Now have a look about advanced operators. Cache, display Google's cached version. Link, show a list of web pages that have links to your target. Related, similar web pages. Related similar web pages. Information, view information Google has on the target site, limits results to just the domain listed. With just one advanced operator, advanced search, you go from 730 million results. It's unbelievable. 700. This, I just search a critical thing in Google, advanced search. Find pages that contain certain. And welcome to Advanced Google 2 Part 2. In URL finds pages with a certain word in the URL. All in URL similar to in URL. This finds web pages containing all of the URL specific words. In text find pages containing a specific word in the content. Now have a look. Let's search in URL. Now I wanna go in URL slash admin. Many pages there. Click on admin login. Have a look. Now in URL admin login page, have a look. You can find this. If I submit, some devices and appliances default setting accessible via browser, application defaults, internet, printing, internet, cameras, server defaults, directories, entitled index of admin directories, find specific files like logs, password files, by file extension, web servers, directory traversal, extension working. The in-URL search query is one of Google's search operators intended to allow users to find down the results. It can be used quite simply by entering. The in-URL search operator lets you search for the word directly after the clone in any URL on the internet. If you include in URL in your query, Google will restrict the results to documents containing that word in the URL. For instance, want to see only pages that have your keyword in their title, use the entitled search operator just before the keyword. You can use symbols or words in your search to make your search results more precious. Google search usually ignores it. The URL operator searches for specific text in the indexed URLs. You can pair a site with in URL, and you can find database by a website exploit database So if I search Google hacking database is an index of search queries exploit database. It actually exploit database. Here is the Dropbox, web server detection, files containing usernames, files containing password, files containing use information, error messages, vulnerable servers, network or vulnerability data, various online devices, all the thing you find here. The website is exploit.db.com. Google hacking, also named Google dorking, is a hacker technique that uses Google search and other Google applications to find security holes. It's actually a categorized index of internet search engine queries designed to uncover interesting things. Now if I search this, here you can download the exploit database archive mode. Is there some remote option, web application option, local and privilege? Here's the remote code. So many more remote code is here. Here's the code and File Security Manager client session in web application exploits. Here is the code and path. Here's some article for privilege. You can check everything, you can find everything here about database hacking. Now go to another website. Okay, now Google utility belt loaded. GoLink scanner, Google hack, honeypot, search, dig, go scan, meta go fill, site digger. View of the utility belt with first trans in a circular condition. The attachable push is shown in Phantom comparison. Google Arts and Culture features content from over 2000 leading archives who have partnered with Google Cultural Institute. Hello everyone, let's talk about Google Advanced Search Operators. So Google Search Operators, the complete list. Did you know that Google is constantly killing useful operators nowadays? That's why most existing lists of Google search operators are outdated and inaccurate. So first one is search term quotation under force and exact match. Search use this refine results for ambiguous searches. Then look at the example Steve Jobs Now OR operator and search for x and y. This will return only results related both x and y. An example, jobs and gets. This is a search operators. And hyphen excluded term or phrase. In our example, in pages returned will be related to jobs but not apple, like jobs apple. Bracket, inside bracket you guys just write the keyword like this. Example, iPod or iPhone, apple. Define, just write define first, then a keyword interpreter. Then catch, just write catch, then a website name, domain name, and returns the most recent cached version of a web page. File type, restrict result to those of a certain file type, like this example, site related, in title, all in title. And in the example you guys can see how it works, how to write it. In URL, find pages with a certain word in the URL. For the example, any results containing the word in the URL will be returned. All in URL, similar to in URL, but only results containing all the specified words in the URL will be returned, like this. All in URL, Apple, iPhone, keyword. In text, find pages containing a certain word somewhere in the content. For this example, and results containing the word apple in the page content will be returned, like example, in text apple, all in text, then around. Proximity search, find pages containing two words or phrases within x words or each other. Whether, like first write whether, then the location or website. Stocks, map, movie, find information, and like this. In search, hash hash, search for a range of numbers. In the example below, all in ensure blog URL, log place name, location, impostature, all in postature, link info. Just watch the example. Some find indexation errors, operators. Find non-secure pages, non-HTTPs. Find duplicate content issues. - 15 other sites with the exact same copy, duplicate issues. Find stolen content in seconds. Find add files on your domain that you may have forgotten about. Find guest post opportunities. Find resource page. Find sites that feature information. Find more link prospects and check how relevant they really are. Internal linking opportunities, like this many option. So Google Advanced Search commands Boolean operator and is assumed between words entered in Google to return pages that include either word A or word B. Use an uppercase or between terms. If we search Google Advanced Search, there's some option. Google Advanced Search. How can you use this feature? Now come to setting. Here is Advanced Search option. You can search here. Just have a look. Advanced Search option. This exact word phrase, any of these words, narrow result, languages, regional last update, site domain, file type, say search, terms and appearing, all the options you find. Right, word, web. So you can find any result. What? Have a look. This I just search a critical thing in Google Advanced Search. You search MSN, Windows, Live Search, Bing Search, and MSN. Find pages that contain certain keywords. Find course and force accurate results for long tail keywords. I just anything or type hacking world. By the help of advanced operators, you find accurate result you want. Find out the Google is categorized your site quickly, gauge the competitives of long tail keywords, find sites that have a specific keyword in the URL, advanced options, all in title, limits results to these websites with all the search words in the title, then link in title, limits result to documents that contain the search word in the title, all in URL, limits results to find all search words in the URL. So that's it for today.
So in this lecture, we will be talking about an Nmap scripting engine. So one of the interesting feature of Nmap is the Nmap script engine, which is NAC, which brings even more flexibility and efficiency to it. It enables you to write your own script in a Lua programming language and possibly share this script with other Nmap users as well. So there are four types of NAC script, namely pre-rule script, which is the script that runs before any of the Nmap's scan operation. So they are executed when Nmap hasn't gathered any information about a target. Then host script these are the scripts that execute after Nmap has performed normal operations such as host discovery, port scanning, version detection, and OS detection against a target host. And the third one is service script. So this script run against specific service listening on a target host. Then another one at the end is post-rule script. So these are the scripts that run after Nmap has scanned all of its target host. So how can you locate these scripts? So simply type locate .nac means the script extension file. As you can see, there are lots of scripts in here. Both for all of those are for Nmap. As you can see, lots of FTP, HTTP, enumeration, and all of those scripts are available. So these are all the available NAC script. So NAC scripts are loaded using this locate, or you can just search by typing minus script, and it will allow you to run your own script by providing the categories, script file name, or directories. So just type nmap minus. So or we can visit this folder, this all go to. So let's go to this folder to check that out. Copy selection, paste, go. As you can see, these are all the scripts that are available in Nmap. So you can be a description. So let's try to see a description of this. Okay, open with text editor. As you can see lots of information and all of those description in here. Like this is for the CP skip, the print out the known vulnerability. So it gives all of those description in here. So that's all of those scripts, how we can locate all of those scripts. So let's try to use couple of the scripts. So let's clear my screen. So how can you search using this script? So simply just what you have to do is just type and map minus minus script. So then the target host, so which target you want to scan. So we're gonna scan our scan me dot nmap dot org. So we're gonna scan this website. So to perform a scan with the most default script, use minus minus script, or my use in here you can also use minus c as minus c, but we are going to use minus minus script for better understanding. So just type, as you can so starting nmap at failed to initialize the script engine, did not match a category name, scan me dot nmap dot org. Okay, let's try using minus sc, which is the same as minus minus script. Okay, as you can see it's working. So it will give you like which ports are open, like, and all of those options. As you can see, lots of results are in here, like host is up and there are 22 TCP SSH port is open and SSH hotkey is this, and also 80 TCP open, which is nmap project HTTP. So you can filter TCP, all of those are open right now. So to use a script for appropriate purpose, you can use, first of all, get a brief description of what it actually does. Like, let's try and map. Let's try, okay, minus minus 1 script. Let's see if it works or not. So let's type help. Then we're gonna use a script which is HTTP headers, HEADERS, and we're gonna use a website called scanme.nmap.org. You can use any other website you want, or even any other operating system, or even IP address, but we're gonna use this website for testing purpose. Okay, I did some typing mistake, HTTP. So lots of mistakes in here. Sorry about that. HTTP headers. So as you can see, it gives you a simple introduction or simple brief introduction of what this actually does. So it will discover a safe, because we typed help. So if we just remove this help, so let's remove this help to see what it actually does. As you can see, it gives you the server which are in running, and also the SAP ranges and connection, which is closed, text, content type, and text or HTML. As you can see, which categories, headers, all of those things. So previously, if you type help, it will give you the brief description of this script. Then you can just run the script. So So once you know that what a script does, you can perform a scan simply just using it. You can use one script or enter a command separated list of a script name. So this command, as you can see, this command enable you to view the HTTP headers configured on the web server of the target host that we selected, which is scanme.nmap.org. So let's try categories. So you can also load a script from one category or from a comma separated list of a categories. So in this example, we are using all script in the default and broadcast category to carry out a scan on a certain host. So let's try hand map. Okay, no, not this. Hand map script. Then try out the default, which is default. Why ult default, comma, broadcast, and we're gonna use 192.168.1.100. so let's try this IP address. Is this IP address even up? Okay, let's see what it does. This gives, I think it will gives the operating system information and all of those. So let's wait. So as you can see, it gives lots of result. So as you can see, my DHCP, which is this IP address, are on, and SSDP, which is from this IP address, and also from lots of MAC address in here, and IP address and trace, also the IP address of the server that are running. Also, as you can see, my which is my router, TP-Link router. So you can also see the desired TP-Link, and also I think you can see okay, let's try my 1.1 default gateway address. So this scan will take a lot of time, because as you can see, we're scanning a lot of things, like we are loading script on a category from another category, which is default and broadcast. So from a category or from a comma separated list. So I think this will take some time, because in this IP there are a lot of machines are connected. Okay, as you can see, my router is connected, my domain name, router, IP, all of those hosts are in here. So also, as you can see, ETA0, my Linux Ethernet connection is also in here. You can see all of those information. As you can see, TP-Link IP address. So lots of information you can see in here. Okay, let's try another category, which is, I think, wildcard. So this is useful when you want to select a script with a given name pattern. So for example, to load all the script with a name starting with SSH. So let's try that one, and map script script. Let's try SSH. So it will scan all of those in here. So simply just not this one. Where is star? Okay. Then double bracket, and just we're gonna select the IP address online 2.168.1.1. So let's wait to see which SSH ports are even open or not. So as you can see, So 80 TCP ports are open and 1900 TCP ports are open, and this is the MAC address and all of those. So we can use lots of these using this same tool. So let's try another one, which is nmap script. So let's try a banner script on my favorite soccer or football website. So the thing is, you can use all of the scripts that are available for purposes, and if you need to know the brief description of what this script does, so simply just type after script, just type -help and it will give you a brief description. So as you can see, this website has 2 ports are open. So let's try another one that I previously tested, like DNS. So let's DNS brute force this website. So it will take some time, like 1 to 2 minutes, I think. So let's check out if DNS brute force is available or not. So let's try ABC DNS brute. So as you can see, DNS brute force, so we are using this script. So as you can see, it brute force the IP address. So this is the IP address of this website, and this is the images from this website, and also the SIP and all of those informations can DNS brute force by just simply using script. So that's all about how you can use like NSA scripts. So nmap is a very powerful and useful tool that every system or network administrator needs in his or her security. So NSA simply adds more efficiency to it.
Hello everyone. Let's talk about zone transfer, DNS zone transfer. So an initial slave name server starts up. It will request AXFR to master server. After the first transfer finished, slave server will check if there is update on master server by send XFR or not, and the checking interval is according the refresh value of SOA. It will change to AXFR if the master does not support IXFR. The default bind behavior supports AXFR and IXFR. So let's talk about NS lookup. Have a look, guys. NS lookup, name server lookup, is a tool used to perform DNS lookups in Linux. It is used to display DNS details such as the IP address of a particular computer, the MX records for a domain, or the NS servers of a domain. NS lookup can operate in two modes: interactive and non-interactive. So NS lookup is a tool used to perform DNS lookups in Linux. It is used to display DNS details. NS lookup can operate in two modes: interactive and non-interactive. The interactive mode always allows you to query name servers for information about various hosts and domains, or to print a list of hosts in a domain. The non-interactive mode allows you to print just the name and requested information for a host or domain. The interactive mode is entered by typing the nslookup command without any arguments. To find IP address of a host, simply type the host name. To perform a reverse DNS lookup, enter the IP address of a host. To display NS records, set the DNS query type to NS, and the non-interactive mode is invoked by typing the nslookup command followed by the name or the IP address of the host to be looked up. For example, display the IP address of a host name, use the command nslookup linux bible.com. So in this tutorial you will learn how to install the dig command and nslookup command on Linux. These commands are used for network troubleshooting and gathering information about domain names. Dig, short for domain information. Gopher is a DNS lookup utility used for probing DNS servers and troubleshooting problems associated with DNS servers. Due to its ease of use, system administrators rely on the tool to troubleshoot DNS issues. NS lookup is used for handling DNS lookups and displays crucial information such as MX records and the IP address associated with domain name. Now I give command ns lookup. NS lookup is used for handling DNS lookups and displays crucial information such as MX records. Newer Linux systems ship both dig and NS lookup utility by default. However, older Linux systems may not. The two come bundled inside the bind utils package. And installing dig and nslookup on Debian Ubuntu. On Debian and any of its derivatives including Debian, the installation is done using the apt command. And using the dig command can be used to query a domain name and retrieve information like dig fosmint.com. The command displays a host of information such as the version of the dig command utility, the DNS server and its corresponding IP address. And to get specific and display only the IP and the domain name append the short argument show I. So google.com is target, and here is the address, name, server name. NS lookups stands for name server lookup and usually command for getting information from the DNS server. NS lookup google.com. NS lookup followed by the domain name will display the IP address of the domain. Use the command to find the address record for a domain. It queries to domain name servers and gets the details. And ns lookup, reverse dns lookup, you can also do the reverse dns lookup by providing the ip address as an argument to ns lookup. ns lookup, type any google.com lookup for any record. We can also view all the available dns records using the type any options. And look up for an SOAR record. SOAR record provides the authoritative information about the domain, the email address of the domain admin, the domain serial number, or many things. And ns lookup, type nsgoogle.com, look up for an ns record. Name server record maps a domain name to a list of dns servers. And by default nslookup translates a domain name to an IP address or vice versa. For instance, to find the IP address of Microsoft.com, you could run the command like nslookup Microsoft.com. There are some nslookup online tools too. You can access such a site full of online network tools and search for the option for nslookup. You can define your query for a specific DNS record to identify the domain, the port in use, and timeout in seconds for better security. I recommend you to use the software on your computer. And before installing, check what distro do you use. We will show you how to install the lookup. It is possible when you are try to use the nslookup command that you get an error saying that the command is not found. Don't worry, the problem of missing the nslookup command can be solved in very simple way. Nslookup is a part of the bind utilities together with two other popular commands, d command and host command, as I shown in before. If the service was stopped, you would need to restart your Linux computer and it will be running again. In case this is not working because it was declared or missing, please. So guys, this is it. Hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching. Hello everyone, talk about SMB null session and SMB enumeration. So one way to enumerate SMB information is via a null session. Null user is sudo account with no username password can access resources that the everyone group has rights to, can be used to enumerate account names, domain controller names, and other valuable information. This is more of a problem on older Windows. Win 7, Win 8, 2008 server disable it by default, but you still might find servers with it enabled. Look for TCP port 139 in scans. So SMB server message blocks, aka CIFS, common internet file system, aka Windows shares. Remember, SMB isn't just on Windows boxes. Mac OS X has switched to SMB as its fault. Network file sharing protocol replacing ARP, and many Linux systems support it via an open source implementation called Samba. All that said, the null session is kind of played out misconfiguration. It's mentioned in a lot of pentesting literature because legacy systems might still have it enabled, and if you do not find it, it's an awesome means of mining data about your target. However, it's becoming rarer and rarer, especially in Windows 7, 8, 10 environments. So null session enumeration, server message block SMB protocol forms the basis for file and printer sharing. First step, connect to the protocol using the null session command. Net use IP address IPC enumerate file shares on a host, net view host. SMB null session enumerating trusted domains. NL test server underscore name trusted underscore domains. This is the command. User enumeration dump sec list of users, groups, systems, policies, user rights. Following work with restrict anonymous equal 1 with null session user info user dump hammergod.com get act security friday.com seed to user to seed is security id variable length value set at install and user ids based on sid. Okay, now let's have a look in nmap in practical how smb enumerate works. Just give command nmap. Obviously first rooted your Linux terminal, and give command locate.nsa grep smb Here the script. Now again give command s nmap sc attempt to list shares using the srv.svc.net share enum all msrpc function and return more information about them using srv.svc.net share get info. If access to those functions is defined, a list of common share names are checked. Minus SV and port 445 10.0.7 and starting in map. SMB protocol, commonly known as server message block protocol, has been hot target among threat actors for many years because of its complexity and open nature. This protocol was prone to plethora of attacks from SMB null sessions to eternal blue. It is the reason we are about to cover all the things related to SMB enumeration and SMB and nmap SMB scripts, also known as the nmap scripting engine. However, SMB has covered a long journey in terms of its security hardening. It has been updated and improved to newest security standards in recent Windows operating system release. Latest SMB version of SMB v3.1, Windows 10 and Windows Server 2016. And while most vulnerable was SMB v1 is Windows XP and Windows Server 2003. So one more thing is why this is important. SMB is used to communicate over TCP/IP in a network. It is the client-server protocol used for file sharing, printed serial ports, and other resources on a network. SMB can allow other applications and users to access file or execute command on a remote server. A client application can read, write, and execute files on the server depending upon the configuration of the SMB share. Port for SMB is 445, while 1359 ports are used for RPC calls, which are essential for remote management of Windows system. And it is essential to keep the target we are achieving before enumerating any service. So in this particular case, we will be getting system information and null sessions, open shares, and CV is like eternal blue from the service. These open shares might include some sensitive information like username, password, hashes, keys, TGCs, or many more things, which can be used further in the process. So to conclude, as per my knowledge, enumerate SMB for below purpose: null sessions, open shares, CVEs, eternal blue, eternal romance, etc. System information. And tools For this is SMB nmap scripts, SMB map, RPC client, NBT scan, enum for Linux, and abbreviated as nmap is a commonly tool used by security professionals for reconnaissance purposes on network levels and is one of the reasons that nmap was included as part of the top 10 best penetration testing tools by actual pen testers. Nmap natively comes with its scripting engine and which has tons of open source scripts including those nmap smb script. Discussing all of scripts is out of scope. These are and inside smb OS discovery, computer name, domain name, forest name, fqdn, netbios computer name, netbios domain name, work group system time is there. And smb enum shares, it will enumerate publicly exposed smb shares if available. In addition, if nmap is not able to get shares from any host, it will brute force commonly used share names to check if they are accessible. And the command is nmap script smb enum shares.nec and -p445 target ip. So this is it guys, hope you guys liked it. Hello everyone, let's talk about some ethical hacking reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. So, information gathering and getting to know the target systems in the first process in ethical hacking. Reconnaissance is a set of process and techniques, footprinting, scanning, and enumeration used to covertly discover and collect information about a target system. During this, an ethical hacker attempts to gather as much information about a target system as possible, like gather initial information, determine the network range, identify active machines, discover open ports and access points, fingerprint the operating system, uncover services on ports, map the network. We will discuss in detail all these steps in previous video. So reconnaissance takes place in two parts, active and passive reconnaissance. So active one is process. You will directly interact with the computer system to gain information. This information can be relevant and accurate, but there is a risk of getting detected if you are planning active reconnaissance without permission. If you are detected, then the system domain can take severe action against you and trail your subsequent activities. And passive reconnaissance, in this process you will not be directly connected to a computer system. This process is used together. All investigations in Multigo are based on and begin with transforms and entities. So this is the dashboard of Multigo. Transforms are bits of code which, when run, generate information based on information we already have. We call this information entities. Look, here is entities. Transforms search for information related to an entity on the graph and allow you to query an API or database to show related information on the graph. So this is my Multigo Kali Linux edition. Take a new graph here. Entities are represented as nodes on a graph. Investigations start with one or more entities upon which we run transforms to explore the relationships between these entities and other, yet unknown pieces of information. So here is banner, DNS name, system server, domain, IP addresses, netblack, URL, tracking code, website, whatever you can attack. So you can attack by email, image, person phone number, social network. The Multigo standard transforms include 39 entity types and many hub items. Will also include new entity types when installed. You can also create your own custom entities to use with your own custom transforms. Any properties and values can be set for this entity, and you can even inherit from another entity. The transforms from the parent entity will work with the child entity by default, and its properties and values can also be easily inherited. The most basic entity in Multigo has a type, for example, a website or email address, and a value. The value of a website could be www.multigo.com, and the value of the mail address could be support@multigo.com. They can also include things like calculated, static, and dynamic properties, bookmarks, notes. This is my target website. The Multigo standard transforms are the default OSINT transforms that ship with every Multigo desktop client. These include transforms for gathering OSINT from common sources on the internet, such as queries on DNS servers, search engines, social networks, various APIs, and other sources. with over 150 transforms. The multi-go standard transforms enable investigations to perform a vast range of standard use cases on multi-go, including now I run transforms in my targeted website. Many options is here, like phone numbers, website mentioning, domain, all the transforms. So you can choose any of them. The multi-go built with transforms provide the current and historic technologies which websites are built upon. These transforms are particularly useful for discovering relationship between websites and for retrieving the details on how these are related as well as the duration of the relation. A transform developer's task is to write the logic that translates between a transform request sent from multi-go and the data being accessed. The data can be in the form of databases like MySQL. So this is the relationship between google.com. Here is the overview. In the top right corner, the multi-go desktop application removes much of the complexity of working with linked graphs, such as merging duplicate nodes, updating layouts, and visualizing the entities. The transform developer therefore need only be connected with extracting the request object and querying the data. There is a significant requirement to liaise with the transform designer and investigations requiring the information to build transforms that will be useful. So it's IP version 4 addresses, multi-go IP address. Multi-go uses an XML based protocol between the desktop clients and the TDS, as well as between the TDS and the transform server. A transform developer can choose to directly read and interpret the XML based transform request and respond with the required XML response message using a basic web server. Host a basic HTTP server with the transform logic. Translate the XML transform request message to Python objects that are easier to work with. Look all the entities relationship with each other: website address, email address, and domain. And here is your output. This is not much complex for beginner, but a little bit. A very useful software, multi-go.
So let's ask you a question. Have you ever lost something that usually happens like with my classes? Because I will be looking everywhere for them and then I'll be running around my house saying like, and it has everybody seen my classes, and then it turns out that glasses were top on my head. So this reminds me an old saying that my father used to tell me, that if it was a snake, it would have bit me because it was right in front of me. That's the same concept here with a different reconnaissance technique. So when it comes to reconnaissance, some of the data that you can actually gather, it will be surprisingly easy how it is to find, and in fact there's a lot of information that can be found through these online services that we are probably using. So what we are going to be talking about in this lecture is that how can you find and where. Well, we can find a quite bit of social sources that will also be able to pull up the additional information about our targeted from financial sources as well as competitive analysis. Many of you may be thinking how the credit you gonna do that and how would the competitive analysis helping out. Trust me, I'm gonna show you. Well, also get into it, just a little bit of social engineering. We got a whole separated lecture about this, and so give you a 1,000-foot view of it, and then we'll look another source, and we'll probably don't think about that expose quite a bit of about us, and that is email. So another source that you can find a pull information on a target, that could be both financial and competitive analysis data. Now when it comes to financial service, you can utilize out there. So with that one, and we often talk about following the money. So there are several sites out there. Well, I'm gonna focus on some of the most popular ones, but obviously we've got both like Yahoo and Google Finances, and there is a other one that I think is got on there as well, which is like MSNBC. But there is several of out there which provide service that gives you information such as the market value and company share information about their competitors and the company profile. So as an individual that may have been hired to as something like that, one of this you would want to look is what information is being exposed on these sites about the company. Does it expose too much? Does it show any types of project what the company is working on? Also, what are some of the trends that are happening within the company or within the industry, as well as what are the competitors up to. In fact, there is a significant little things that we can go through and do, that is pretend like we are going to be a competitor to pull information about a particular target. As far as another opportunity we have, like we can use email alerts to send any of the updates when they use any of the information of these financial sites that go through and get updated. For example, Microsoft, if they post something about new like HoloLens or Google Lens or something like that, that will show up in your mail. And stopping Gmail, you obviously want to be notified of those types of things, or I should say you could use notification or even use phone alerts. So we will have to register in the air for those services, but it's a good way of keeping in touch of what's going on with the company. Now I mentioned before that we can go through and use competitive analysis, where I can go through and say, yeah, I would like to find out more information about my competitor, and there is several companies out there that provides those services, and again attackers will utilize those resources. So they find out when co-op actually begin and how did it begin, what was the route when it started off, it was in charge back then on, or who's in charge. So currently we would also able to find out things like where they currently located, and of course what is their plan. A lot of these company not just only provide analysis, of their competitors, but they might also show you their product and their product of their analyzed data, who is their customers and who are their suppliers. But what's kind of interesting is that this company typically use the same technique that we are talking about right now to go together that information, and just like in charge, when you have some money for it, there is a couple of companies that are probably the more popular one out there, and there is a flood, and there is a Wall Street transcript as well as market. So I think market watches probably are one of the more branded service that's out there, and again that they are using the same thing that, or should say the same technique that we are utilizing. So we are not doing anything wrong at this point. This is very very passive, but we are gonna stop to go through and give you a nice little report. And the very in this show that the press releases or all their press releases is a annual report, and they will look at their patient trademarks catalog of their product customer and vendor interviews. So they will also go through and look the companies and website and employments ads. I mean, they basically go out and do all of these for you, and then again is there nothing too illegal about that. So let's talk about using communication to do some reconnaissance. I told you earlier that we will take a look at about this, just a kind of a high level view in here, but the concept here is the human hacking. So remember our definition of hacking is to get a device, or in this case a human, to do something outside of what it was designed to do. Or by default we are not designed to give up personal information. We know that that's wrong, and we get hacked all the time into exposing information about ourselves, or another way that they can hack. A human is what they are referred to as gaining confidence as a target. So there is a great documentary that talked about and McCafe back in a day. It's called Edge Commerce, and it's about like 45 minutes. In fact, it's gonna assign that to you as homework. So you go and watch, and this was done several years ago. But one of the biggest social engineering or hacking schemes or scams that took place is the lady, I think she lived in Washington state, and based of the fact that she is gone to a genealogy website, the group of people portrayed themselves used as emotion, and that's typically what we do is we use emotion in human hacking or in social engineering. So they use the emotion, or then they related to her. She was actually from Europe, and they were trying to escape, and they needed money to get out from the predicament, and that said she lived in the United States. So she has a lot of money. Who live in the United States, I think, has a lot of money. So they built her over for $500,000. So you go through and watch the documentary. It's actually involved what we refer to as a great hat that goes out and try to help her to see what dangerous or what damages were caused again by just hacking a person. So how's this typically has been done? Well, we typically do it. So first of all, we can do like dumpster diving. And how they find out about this lady. So they didn't actually do dumpster diving for her, but dumpster diving is the technique where we go and where we go and find out the information based of the what's in believe it or on trash cans. A great example in a backup day where Microsoft was under investigation by the Department of Justice about how they were implementing Internet Explorer microsystem. Actually that time hired some people to go dumpster dive, at Microsoft location because trash is considered no longer property of the company. They actually pulled out some of the reports that showed that Microsoft was doing something that wasn't very nice. So that is definitely one way that we can hack human or do the social engineering set of things. We can also do it based of the eavesdropping. Now eavesdropping could be obviously just by listening or not just physically listening, you just know against the person, the keyboards next to us, he is dropping it via the email or digitally. Eavesdropping on individuals. We also by what they referred as shoulder surfing. This is where we watch people do things from behind. So I'm sure you have already seen great YouTube videos where somebody pranking someone that they are just behind them running around like they are all goofy, and then what then turn out they are acting all normal. I believe in United States there is several talk show hosts that have been contest to see who can do it the best. But as far as hacking to be concerned, I think I have mentioned this before. My friend think I am busy because I go to grocery store. I go to grocery somewhere that I swipe my debit card or credit card, and before I type in my pin, I physically turn around and look to see if someone is around my hair looking at me. So if somebody trying to shoulder surf, then shoulder surf can also involve digital, as we have seen before. When people use their cell phone to capture images, I am that very suspicious of a people that are on their cell phone that are right behind of me of a checkout line, because I don't know if they are really talking to somebody or they can just actually have a phone up on my ear, then camera facing me and recording my pin number. And we also have the impersonation that I told you guys before. Trust me, you do not just win the Australian lottery or you are not. So it is not so. Let me finish my thought about goes another editing moment which which is Citibank will never call me. As an example, Citibank will never call me and ask me to verify my password over the phone. The big thing that happened right now in scammers is calling people up saying that they are from Microsoft and they notified their machine is running poorly or slowly. Then they can actually go through and try to prove it by having them typing command that shows error, like I previously shows as event viewer on Windows, and they say we need to fix your machine, so we can help you to fix it. Impersonation. So another great tool for gathering intelligence is via the email. So with email we are actually be able to go through do several things that we can track where an email is read, if it's been forwarded, like time that is spent reading it, like links visited, the type of several that use the OS receiver is using. So they are all kind of information. Now there is several third-party companies, both application and websites, that can help you pull out the information. So let me show you something in here. So this is the email header that I got from Thrifty Car Rental. This was just an email from Thrifty Car Rental talking. So it just give me an ad about some car rental stuffs and coming up when you see here. So if you look at the header information, this is on every email. A lot of people don't see this back vacuum of your days that we didn't have Outlook to hide a lot of this technical information. This was listed in the beginning of your all emails. Now if you just hit and you just have to export it typically under the advanced setting, but look at what I can be from this email. So first of all, I can see who the email was sent to. As you can see, that's my email address. Then I can also go through and see the date. this is the date. I can also see where did it came from. As you can see, you can find where it came from, and you can see from the particular server there. I can also see the client's IP address, as you can see. Client's IP address. So look at that. There's that you want to know about Thraptis email server or one of them. There it right there. You can also look at the sender email. That meaning that it passed through before, then got to me, and it came from, as you can see, it came from Google. So I can also go through and take a look at the original sender email service name. So it originally came through email.thrifty.com. So we can also I can find these times which is interesting, and we can also take a look at the authentication system that being used by the sender. So again, a lot of information there, and several tools out there that could help you to tracking email, including a polite email. So first one is polite email. We also have another product that's called email lookup, that goes to do and scans the header for you. So if you want to track what's going on a particular piece of email, you can just use Email Tracker Pro. And I guess I should maybe just back it up a little bit here. Polite image is actually go through. So it's a tool that we use to Outlook, but it gives you a visual representation like a global map, and shows you all the different mail service that hop through. So it's really kind of interesting. So another application or tool you can use is Did They Read It. Again, you can see these are the tools that are used for good or for marketing purposes. If you send an email to, and you probably want to know if people read it, so this particular product will actually go through and obviously tell you if they read it. If they just deleted it right away, read notify, another great little tool that you can use to notifies you when your email is open up. So if it was redo or reopened, so if they re-forwarded it to someone else, and if so, who did they forward it to? This one is also got a nice little graphical interface, who also have like who read me. So it is the same types of tool of like did they read it, just to read me the email so well, and then get notified. This one goes through and actually sends notification back to the sender, and when the recipient opens, it will opens it, and when they read it again, it does it without the knowledge of the recipient, or is completely invisible to them. There is also called Glog Analytic, which is another email tracking service that allows you to see what's happening to your email. After you send them, it goes through and gives you a little nice report. How many times the email or the email was printed, how many times it was forwarded. We also have like message tag, which is MSG message tag. It has nothing to do with Chinese for or missing anybody else. So jokes apart, this is again another tracking tool that will go through and tell you about the emails that have been opened, and when they opened, if they actually read, and it add a little tracker of the traces tag to it, then they report it back to the service, that obviously then that send you back some nice little report, as well as even you can set it up. So you can get a text message tracer email in another tool that we can utilize, which is trace email, and that actually goes through and tries to locate the source of a IP of an email. So this is actually pretty much pretty good of a reconnaissance, so that you can or even go for your pen testing if you want to see which email or where the email came from. Now a lot of these service and tools cannot be detect or forge email headers, but most of our email servers today actually will drop a email based off the reverse lookup. So typically what happens with email is that when it comes in, it says that the name of the email server this came from and what's the IP address of the header on it, and when it does look up the reverse lookup and to see those are still true statement, because most of the time they forge or spoofing the network or the email address, they won't match up. So and if it doesn't match up, then you will email server should drop it. And that's all about these email services. One of the routine tasks Multigo is used for by analysts and experts worldwide is infrastructure footprinting on an organization's network, also known as reconnaissance. So footprint is the technique employed to gather information such as IP addresses regarding a specific network environment, usually with the purpose of revealing vulnerabilities, indicators of compromise, and hidden weak points, as well as improving upon the current network policies and detention rules. So in this lecture we will detail a network footprinting methodology while demonstrating how investigators can use Multigo to implement it. We will also show how user can significantly simplify and automate the network footprinting process with the use of Multigo machine. So what is the methodology of Multigo's network footprinting? So when footprinting a domain, the goal is to find as much as information about its underlying infrastructure as possible. However, when dealing with a large footprint, it can be quite difficult to know when you have found all publicly available information about the domain that are under investigation. To make a process little easier, we have to create a structured methodology that we follow when conducting a network footprint in Multigo. So using Multigo, transform to map network infrastructure and perform network footprinting. So Multigo has a number of transform that pull infrastructure data easily from OSINT and third-party data sources for network footprinting, and while returning the query result, the transform also map out of the relationship between each of the data points and visualize the infrastructure in a graph. So as you can see in here, the arrows are labeled with the Multigo that transform and can be used to find such information. So now we will talk about find the related top level domain. So starting at the top of the model with the target domain, we see an arrow labeled as TLD expand pointing from a domain back to a domain. This step searches for a top level domain that belongs to the target organization, a step that allows analysts to grasp the overall or interconnected infrastructure, especially in an international organization. Top level domain refers to a last part of an URL, for example like .com. In the domain multigo.com is the top level domain, and the Multigo desktop client to domain which transform returns all top level domain related to the target domain. For example, we run to domain to find other TLDs to transform on a linkedin.com domain. These transforms return at 101 domain entities including linkedin.asia, .de, .io and more. Find DNS names related to the target domain. So once the top level domains are enumerated, we want to find the DNS records from the DNS servers database. This includes obtaining the domains MX record, NS records and many A records as possible. A mail exchanger record specifies the mail server responsible for accepting the email message on behalf of a domain name. NS records that the internet where go to and find the domain's IP address, and A record is used to point a logical domain name such as google.com to the IP addresses of a Google's hosting server, which is like something like 74.125 something. So in Multigo there are 9 transforms for finding a DNS name related to a domain. You can find them in the transform set as DNS from domain, which is the part of standard transform hub item. Running as domain transform set this domain by easily clicking the fast forward icon returns the result seen as the graph. Then the purpose of this demonstration, we limited the number of a result returned by a transform to 256. Note that there are 408 entities in the DNS name collection node, so indicating a large number of infrastructure with a wide attack surface. Taking a look at the data model again, we see that there are 3 transforms going from the DNS name level up to the TLD level. 2 of those transforms looks for domain that share the same name servers or mail servers that has found the original domain. The third transform simply extract the domain from the DNS name. Following the data model, we will resolve all the DNS names to IP addresses by selecting the DNS entities and running to IP address transform. It is interesting to note that there are 304 of the 408 DNS name resolved to a single IP address as shown as this image. On the remaining 104 DNS entries, 45 did not resolve to an IP address at all. This might be an indication of an old DNS or a DNS name that resolve an internal resource configured on a split DNS system. Now that we have an IP address, we can go look up the level and data model to find more DNS names that related to their IP address. This can be done by looking at a historical DNS record collection from a passive and reverse DNS data. Alternatively, you can use Multigo's docking technique by querying Bing to see other websites that have been resolving to the same address. From the IP addresses, we next want to find the net blocks that the address belongs to and determine whether the entire net blocks belong to our target organization. So net block refers to range of IP addresses that are owned and managed by internal service provider, which is mean ISPs or data centers. An IP net block provides details about the owners of the entire IP range as well as its administrative contract, organization and more. So in Multigo there are 3 transforms for finding net blocks from an IP address, and it is important to understand how each of them works. To net block, which is like transform, will sort IP addresses into net block size specific by the user. Note that it is important to configure the correct size of the net block to conduct the accurate investigation. So another net block is using the route info. So that transform determines the net block that an IP address belongs to by looking up and routing the table information. And last one is using WHOIS info. and this transform will look up to the net block for an IP address by querying the registers. Running the net blocks using WOH OIS info transform on our network footprinting, demonstrating result in those images. As you can see, the images shows only portion of the resulting graph. So at this point we have reached to the data model. The next step would be take the as found that we start moving back up the data model, that we find more related information at each level. So first we inquiry that we return all the net blocks found on the found in this, and these new net blocks will be found more DNS names by querying historical or reverse DNS record. To do this, we run two DNS name, which is like reverse DNS transform. From the new DNS name return, we could potentially find more domain belonging to the target and start the whole process again on the new domains. As our network footprint proceeds further, our graph also becomes more and more complicated. To easily identify the most common parts of the network as well as its outliner, we can select the ball size by link, which is like main incoming view of the left toolbar. So this view adjusts the size of each entity based on the number of incoming links. So that's all about basic overview of the Multigo. So as you guessed, it is kind of a complex, but it also gives you a lot more information. So, and fortunately it's not required to remember every step of the footprinting process, because Multigo has feature called machines. So Multigo machines allow you to skip transform together and have them run sequentially in a automated fashion. So we can also do this in the software itself, and that's for all. Hello everyone. So in this lecture I am going to give you an example of information gathering, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at how to use the Dimitri, which is a built-in Kali Linux tool, or the deep magic information using gathering tool. So we are going to be talking about how to use this Dimitri tool, which is an information gathering tool, which is essentially combine all of the important aspect of information gathering in one package. Now the important thing is to understand about the information gathering is that there are two types of way of looking at it, and there are indeed two ways of approaching or gathering the information. From a target you can have like active, and it should be like Dimitri by default, and this will be the passive aspect of the information gathering. So it essentially allows you to perform lookups on IPs and domains, and it allows you to perform a subdomain search on your target. However, this is going to be based on actually actively targeting on or actively interacting with your target, but getting information from the public is very easy. So the public available information, so that you would have like a open source intelligence, or OSINT, which is short form, as it's also referred to as allows you to perform subdomain searches, and you have like email searches similar to what have the like harvester tool does, which essentially allows you to gather emails from the internet and from various search engines or various websites giving to a particular organization. So it will allow you to perform a TCP port scanning, but of course no one going to use that for it, because we are already used TCP port using Nmap. So already have an nmap tool for that, especially if it is a professional penetration test. So alright, so I'm going to essentially cover all the important bits that you need to know and how to fully utilize this Dimitri tool for information gathering, even if it is for passive information gathering. So let's get started. I already did all the parts, so let's just define how this works and how you use the Dimitri tool. So it is, as I previously told, it is already pre-installed on all Linux machine. So I am using Kali Linux, so it is already, as you can see, already pre-installed. So make sure you use the Kali Linux or any Linux distributor. And by default, you can simply just open up Dimitri from in here. So that's been told that there is kind of deep magic going on. So very nice slogan in here. It's a very nice subtitle. So it does not give any insight of what this tool does because as you can see, I already type help because I'm gonna see it will give us all the options that you need to use firstly, and it does not give us an insight into what the tool can do, but that's why we have the help menu in here, and that sort of give us an idea that all the options that we can use. So you can go ahead and check out for yourself any option, but we're gonna use also most of them in our lecture, and I will be showing you the most important bits in here. So performing a like a lookup on a particular address, it could be any IP address. It could belong to a server, whichever you get it from, and this is the tool Dimitri. Always look up on this particular IP addresses. As you can see, I am already searching on a particular this IP address. Just simply type in Dimitri and the parameter, which is my I. As you can see, what I does perform a lookup on the IP address of a host. So we're gonna look up in this host IP address, so which is also stand for IP, and we just type the IP address, and that IP address in my case I am just gonna use this 0.0.0.1, which is a very common internet IP block and is used all around the world in various network devices like routers and embedded devices. So we can use, if we want to open it up, or you can see on the right in here, as you can see. So they will tell us that what you already know. So this is an IP block because the IP is not really publicly giving to it, so it is, but again it is a reference to a particular IP address, but I essentially specified the entire IP block in here. So there we have like network information, like we can see that the net name in here, as you can see, net name, and we can have a net name, and also like registration information. You can have like your area or region, like in here you can see Africa, Asia and North America. So this is pretty standard, so it is very widely used IP block. And just a little caveat here, that is if you are wondering and also you can get a lot of, as you can see, country worldwide use, Europe and all of this uses this IP address. Now performing a lookup on a domain is again very simple. So we can just type Dimitri, and we are going to use this W. So what this W does, so it performs a lookup on a domain, that name of a host. So as you can see, so we are going to type this for your domain, and we can type in a domain like zonetransfer.me for a testing purpose. I use this, you can use any other as you want. Now this is a very simple domain and it's sort of gives you information, but this information is as you can see which is very simple, and this information are a bit of record which notice in here, so which you can pretty much use, but again the output seems to have been jabbed. As you can see, there is now in here, so it's use a sort of like a defined format, or the encoding is set incorrectly with this script, but in any case it gives you the important bit of information right over in here. So for example, you can have like domain name, as you can see, zonetransfer.me. So you can have like domain name and registry domain ID. This is the registry domain ID, registry server, registry URL. This is the registry URL, and you can see updated date, creation date, registry expiry date, and all of this information in here, which is I think is quite important. And it's as you can see at the end in here, it's written as a defined format, or the encoding is set incorrectly with this script, but in any case it gives you the important bit of information right over here. So when this domain was last updated, you can see in here, as I told, last updated. So with this domain, when is this domain lost, like update in regards to its ownership, then you can have like creation date, registry expiration date, expiration data, which is like in I think December 19 as far as I remember. So this is a quite cool tool, and then you can have like other information like registrar, contacts, email, and pretty much all the information that you could want. And it does give you a register and company, as you can see, register and company, name and server both in here, and also DNSSEC, which is unsigned. So in summary, you can see a lot of valuable information in here. Also you can get bit like other information given you on whether or not the domain does have, which is like protection. So we lay the, so it gives you the information or the register and the individual that the registered domain, or if you do have a domain protection or who is protecting for your domain, and essentially get block all the information for being accessed. So if you do perform always, essentially it will get all together. So that is how to form or look up on a domain. And now that you have a TCP port scanning, so I won't be talking about that because subdomain and numeration, because again that uses a publicly available information, so you are not going to get anything that possibly might be accurate. So we will focus with these kinds of that will give you the real information that you can trust, or information that is reliable and up to date. So you have like TCP port next coming, which is very simple. So again you can type like Demetri and use this P, specify the P, this is the port. So then we're gonna scan my router. So this is the my router IP address. So we're gonna scan this router IP address, and this will just give the gateway as we operate the information. So as you can see, it doesn't give a lot of information, but it gives a little bit information, because the scan my router and gets all the information. And we can see the host name and gateway that we already know, and we have the port. As you can see, we have the 80 TCP port is open on my this IP address. So very simple, and it essentially perform a very quick scan, and it scans for, as you can see, 150 ports, and the 148 ports are in closed. So alright, so this scan completes that there, and now that we know and look to perform a TCP port scan, now let's take a look at and how to look up server uptime with a netcraft. So as I said, these all regards of the publicly available information. So to do that, we type in Dimitri and we use the n command because it's going to use the netcraft. So for netcraft, use n, and we're going to use this IP address, or sorry, this web address. And so again, we can use zonetransfer.me, and there we're going to retrieve, as you can see, couple of information, and we retrieve the network of information for zoning, and for some reason it also give us the host IP address, but it doesn't give a lot more. So let's try another website. So as you can see, similar netcraft, Dimitri use the netcraft for my n, then you use the h exploit. This is the another website. So then as you can see, this is sort of the issue with this passive information gathering, and again we don't get any information. So we don't get any information related to this, and which is pretty relevant because it's we do not get any information, and we do not sign up for these statistics at the netcraft as well. So finally we have the email. Search again, so which is this, just type Dimitri and -e for email and zonetransfer.me, and use the e parameter. For the e option, we specify the domain of our target domain. So we can say just that zonetransfer.me is the domain. So we can obviously use the Google search engine for any valuable information. As you can see, it uses the Google search engine. So regarding of this particular domain, so let's just try another example. Let's just try a popular website, as we all know, bbc.com. So let's see, we would rather gather, or we would gather any publicly available email address that are linked to public bbc.com. domain. So and for this I would recommend using the harvester, because you can see you are not get anything over in here. So for email, always use the harvester tool for that. And finally outputting your result. So which is again very simple, just type Dimitri. For output, just type type IE, the I for essentially say for the IP address, which is this one, for O for output, and we're gonna save this output at result.txt. So it's going to give me all the information that is stored in this result.txt file. So it's again, it will be saved in root folder because I am on root. If you are on desktop mode, so it will saved on a desktop. Because I am on a root mode, it will saved all this result.txt file on a root directory. So the real charm of this is that it will comes in the form of combination of various parameters that we have already seen, and how to get the comprehensive information and data about your target in one shot. So remember, instead of performing each of these individuals, you can just combine this parameter and give you a comprehensive scan of that what you are looking for, all in regards to passive information or other. So for example, the command I would run if I would run is if I am targeting the domain for outrun, so who is the lookup on a particular domain and is the server time of the netcraft. So as you can see, the command I would run the target domain outrun, so which is going to loop this particular domain and this savable as result.txt if the netcraft is available. So I can just try the Dimitri and WN, or I can use WSN, which is again also look for the subdomains, but I will use WN and then WNPE because I can specify PE for the email that which again is not going to give us information that we already don't know, but again this is all the passive information. So let a lot but put into this txt file. Again, as you can see, this is the txt save file, so we are going to save this on this file. So just it will give us the basic information and it will put all the results that we have and put the results on a desktop. If you are in desktop, it will save in a desktop, or it will save all of those in our root or result.txt file. So it's going to start gather all the information. As you can see, it will take some time, so make sure you give it a couple of minutes, like 4 to 5 minutes if it takes, because it will load up a couple of information, and then this will essentially just combine all of those and it will just doing a automated into a one shot of scanning in one shot. So for this view, so the comprehensive guide using this tool is sort of gathering all the passive information on your target, and this is a great way of doing that. So after this, just as you can see, this will complete all the scan. Just then go to this directory. As I have my root directory, you may have in your desktop directory if you are not in root mode. So after that, it will save all of this into result file. So what you have to do now, you have to go to your root directory to check. So let me just log in as root. So let's go to our root. As you can see, this is the result.txt, as I already typed 2txt because the last txt is the extension and we type the result.txt as our name. So as you can see, it gives all the information in here. So after the scan is completed, and if you open up the file, and you can see over here there's the result that gives, and it gives us the IP address. As you can see, this is the IP address, and so and nothing more, because which is quite sad, because the Dimitri tool wants which is a very good tool, but there you are. And those of you who wanted to know about Dimitri and as of end how to use our maximum is capability or full potential, and there are all of this, you can just save the output all of this in here, and it will give you all of this. As you can see, lots of result and information of this particular domain. So that's how you use and gather the information using this Dimitri tool. So I guess I covered most of the important one in here. So that's all for this information gathering.